Hi there, Bramer County and all of Iowa. Welcome back to Deciding Iowa.
I'm Dr. Sean Albrecht. I'm a cancer scientist, biochem prof, and House District 57 candidate.
And I'm Dr. Emily Bavers. I'm a physician, mom of 3, and a health advocate. So, Sean, last year, a starter bill to protect private property rights was vetoed by Governor Reynolds. And what is going on in this legislative session on the issue of carbon pipeline and eminent domain?
Senate Majority Leader Klimesh proposed Senate File 4067 last week, which basically says eminent domain will not be granted for a pipeline until every other reasonable alternative has been exhausted. This bill would also allow expansion of the corridor such that Senate might find more volunteer easements.
I don't really like this bill. Putting more pipe, more turns, it's not actually safer for the public. It costs Summit more money, so they won't be excited to add pipeline length with corridor widening across Iowa.
And if this bill was ever signed into law, I could just see Summit offering some sort of token, we tried evidence to the Iowa Utilities Commission and then plowing ahead with easements to get the pipeline they want. Most feel Senate File 4067 has no chance in the House because it does very little to protect the rights of property owners.
Well, speaking of the House, they passed House File 2041 recently, and this is a one-page bill that forbids any person or entity from using eminent domain to acquire right-of-way, construct, or to operate a pipeline with the primary purpose of transporting carbon dioxide.
The floor vote for House File 2041 included some bit of bipartisan opposition. Some Dems are frustrated that the upper and lower chambers are not working together and coming up with a comprehensive solution to private property rights, pipelines, and economic need. And some view this bill is just not as viable in the Senate as Senate File 4067 would be in the House. I can see why legislators are frustrated.
Yeah, and Iowans, especially landowners, have been very anxious to see what the Senate does with House File 2041 now that it's in their hands. But it appears that games are afoot again because the Senate Commerce Committee just passed House File 2041 today, but Senate Majority Leader Klimesh slapped on an amendment first.
Yeah, and this amendment essentially turns House File 2041 into Senate File 4067 with increased corridors and the ability of Summit to still appeal for easements.
So now, what is effectively very much a bill that does not protect landowners from an eminent domain will now move to the Senate for a floor vote.
Senate Democratic Senator Peterson said in today's Commerce meeting, and I had to read the transcript because for some reason the audio was cut out, that Senate Dems had all of 15 minutes to read the Klimesh amendment before the vote. She then went and asked Buslow if this amendment is effectively the same language as Senate File 4067, as it appears, and he replied yes.
Well, Peterson also went on to say that this is not due process because Senate File 4067 is on the docket to be discussed tomorrow in subcommittee, the one place where public can make comments.
I can see why those that have been working hard for the property rights of Iowans are so frustrated. This smells like BS, Emily. Having House File 2041 amended to look like Senate File 4067 and then pass through committee compromises tomorrow's public input. These games are anti-democratic.
And around we go on eminent domain bills between the House and the Senate. It's like an iterative process with no clear resolution.
Stay tuned, everyone. This is important. We don't like eminent domain for private gain, and there are some that feel that this pipeline is needed to offset runaway costs of corn production. Others point out, sustainable commodities markets need more than corn for our rural communities and family farms to benefit.
Yeah.
So we have to pay attention to what goes on with this pipeline.
Well, be well, Iowa, and thanks for watching.
Thank you.